The Miceli Group presents seminars and workshops, advanced presentation skills for financial professionals, with Frank Miceli, financial industry expert and author of the best-selling book, Seminars, The Emotional Dynamic. Episode 6, The Emotional Dynamic.
Hi, I'm Frank Miceli. Welcome back for Episode 6, The Emotional Dynamic. We've just spent the first 5 episodes talking about the basics of workshops and seminars. Now we're going to get into the fun part. Now we're going to get into the exciting part, what I call the emotional process. That's the subtitle of my book, Seminars, The Emotional Dynamic. Well, what is this emotional dynamic? What does it mean to have an emotion-based presentation? Well, okay, this is where we really get deep into this. So stay with me because this makes all the difference in your presentations and workshops. All right. The big question, how do I maximize the business impact of my workshops and events? How do I turn them into something more meaningful? Let me give you a simple example. The average financial workshop or seminar, 30 people in a room, the advisor sets 3 appointments and generates 1 new relationship. That is an unsustainable business model. You cannot build a business with that kind of ratio. We've got to improve that, and that's why we created this emotional discussion. Seminars and workshops are emotional experiences. The best workshops are based on emotions. Let me quote a favorite person of mine, a gentleman by the name of Carl Jung. Carl Jung was the great psychoanalyst, a student of Freud's. Carl said, emotion is the chief source of all becoming conscious. There can be no transforming of darkness into light or of apathy into movement without emotion. What does this mean? In simple terms, it means you can't get somebody to pay attention to something, and you absolutely can't get them to take action on something until you get their emotions involved. That's what this is. A workshop is based on one giant emotion we call trust. Trust is the core of every advisor-client relationship. But trust is too big. It's what we call a super emotion. So what we've done is we've broken trust down into 9 pieces. 9 critical emotions. Let me cover them very quickly, and then for the rest of the episodes, we're going to drill down deep into each of these 9 emotions and show you how to create them. Very important. What are the 9 emotions? Number 1, you've got to get people to like you. Sounds trivial, okay? People do business with people they like. How do you get a room full of total strangers? And I'm going to assume these are strangers, not existing clients for the sake of simplicity. Clients ostensibly already like you, which may or may not be true depending on what the market's doing. But we're talking about a room full of strangers. How do you get these people to like you? What specific techniques and skills must you implement to generate that emotion? Probably the most important one, and we'll talk in great detail about getting folks to like you. If they don't like you, you know what? You could hit all the others, and they'll take your ideas and go do them someplace else. If they do like you, they'll find a reason to do business with you. So that's number 1. Number 2 is understanding. Understanding something about my money is a very emotional thing. I feel empowered. I feel strong. How do we create and deliver a presentation that's extremely understandable? Number 3 is respect. I don't think you can do business with people who don't respect you as a professional. So how do you generate that respect in an audience? And how do you keep it for the entire body of the seminar? Number 4 is confidence. There are 2 kinds of confidence, and we're going to talk about these. Number 1 is I want them to feel confident in me as a financial professional who can solve their problems. But the second kind of confidence is actually more important. I want them to feel more self-confident. I want them to feel as though the answers are discoverable inside them. I want them to come to the conclusions. I want my audience to be more empowered, is what it comes down to. So how do you generate confidence? Number 5, happiness. People want to have a good time. They want to enjoy the event. If all you're doing are boring economics lectures, it's just not going to work. It's not going to produce the kind of results you want. So how do you create an event that's fun? How do you have fun in an event? We're going to talk about it. Number 6 is fear. Fear is an extremely powerful emotion, but you have to be careful. If this were 10 or 15 years ago, my recommendation would have been, how do we scare them at a seminar? I don't know if any of you remember the great bull market. It seems like an eternity or a lifetime ago when things were going really well. There was a time when people got irrationally exuberant. Does anyone remember that phrase? And when we did public events, we used to really have to try to scare them, to protect them. Asset allocation, diversification, don't put all your money in tech stocks. There was a tremendous amount of fear being delivered by the speaker at an event. No more. No more. The days of scaring an audience are gone. Any presenter who is using fear to intimidate or to motivate an audience to take action does not belong in our profession, in my opinion. What you have to do is you have to understand fear, and you have to understand the fears that they are bringing to the seminar. People are coming to your event, and they're already terrified. They're sitting in your workshop, and they're scared. They're plenty scared. So fear, it's not to scare them, it's to unscare them. Action. Getting people to take action is a very emotional process. People don't like to do things. There's tremendous inertia. How do you overcome that? How do you get them in an emotional state that says, yes, I'm willing to do something? The close cousin of action is change. People don't like to make changes. They would rather stay with what they're doing, which is hurting them, than to make changes. So how do you get them comfortable with change? And the final emotion is called enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is right up there with getting people to like you. In fact, they go hand in hand in many ways. You need to deliver a presentation that's enthusiastic, that's upbeat, that's motivational, that's inspirational. How do you do that as a speaker? And how do you do it in sufficient quantity and quality to get them enthusiastic? It's not enough that you're enthusiastic. You've got to get them to feel the power. These 9 emotions form what we call a train ride. Let me show you what I'm talking about in simple terms, okay? The seminar process from the start to the finish is an emotional train ride. And during that train ride, you have to hit 9 stops along the way. If you hit all 9 of these, the people in that room will trip over themselves to become your client. They will want to work with you. They'll rush up to you with their evaluation form, with their business card. Call me, when can we get together? If you hit only 7 of the 9, less successful. You hit 5, 4, 3, your results diminish. Okay? So the trick is, what are the 9 emotions and how do you hit all 9? You're not going to remember 9 emotions, so we've created an acronym that will help you. The acronym for the 9 emotions is Lurch Face. And if you don't remember Lurch Face, you may remember Lurch. Now, the problem is most of you are too young to even know who this is. Okay? That's a scary thought. Lurch was a character on a show called The Addams Family, and frankly, if you don't remember The Addams Family, you're too young to manage my money. I'm not very fond of young advisors. It drives me crazy that you have this incredible future ahead of you. Bottom line, simple way to remember it, and using mnemonics like this is also a great way to get the audience to remember stuff. So remember the Lurch Face emotions, 9 critical emotions that you have to hit to have a super successful workshop.